What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details.
Woohoo!
This week, quite a piece of pop culture. A piece of something. A movie that, oh boy, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, let's not mince words.
One of the, oh my god, I have nothing but feelings. I haven't been this psyched about talking about a movie that I fell asleep twice in. The first time I more or less just zoned out, and the second time I legitimately fell asleep.
How could you?
What have you done? How could I not? Like,
yeah,
it's
fair
just
point.
It's so tough. So this week we're going to be talking about in the run up to Terminator Dark Fate, a movie that I'm now quite concerned about. We're going to be talking about Terminator Genisys. This is from 2015. One of the I's is a Y in Genisys. In case you were going to confuse it with something else. Also, well, we'll talk about it. The name Genisys doesn't make any sense. DJ, we've got a lot to talk about with this movie, but before we get to that, I did want to mention the other thing that we're doing. Do you want to explain that?
I would love to. So we are doing an extra live stream on November 2nd. So depending on when you're listening to this, it's before the stream happens, which if it's so, please tune in. It's during the stream. So pause this and watch our stream. This can certainly wait. Or the stream has already happened, but not too late to donate. So I'll explain. Extra Life is a 24-hour gaming marathon. There's video games, tabletop games, where people get together and they stream for 24 hours to raise money for the children's specialized hospitals. We are doing a stream. So when I say we, I mean myself. Nando is a part of it. A lot of our friends who do different tabletop gaming, just kind of we're getting our whole network of friends together to play board games for 25 hours when you incorporate daylight savings time to raise money for the Children's Specialized Hospital.
Oh my god, you're right. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Happens every year. For in Mountainside, New Jersey, Children's Specialized Hospital in Mountainside, New Jersey. We have a great slate of games lined up. Let me actually pull it up. But yeah, Nando's going to be joining us. There's going to be a lot of people at some point, so we got some big group games to play, and we're going to be streaming them all. So we're going to have your favorites. We're going to have Sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh my god.
Sushi Go Party. We'll do an escape room. Root, The Quest for El Dorado. Blood on the Clock Tower. Super excited for that. Concept, 2 rooms and a boob. Boom. Boom. 2 rooms and a boom. Tales of the Arabian. Yeah. Do you not know the premise of this game, Nando?
No, I do not.
So basically,
oh wait, is this the one with the bombs?
Yes.
Is this the one where we have to talk to each other?
Oh, no, it's not keep talking and nobody explodes. So the premise of this game is everyone plays together, and there's someone who... So there's a good team and a bad team. And the good team is trying to keep the president, quote-unquote, alive, and the bad team is trying to blow up the president. So no one knows who the president is, except the president tells one person. And basically... there's a room with a bomb, and if the president is in the room with the bomb at the end of the game, the game's over. So the way the game works is the 2 rooms negotiate people to trade back and forth. So the good guys are trying to keep the president away from the bomb, and the bad people are trying to reunite the bomb, or unite the bomb with the president. And you do this like back and forth. It's pretty good.
Interesting.
So, yeah, we got that. Untitled Goose Game, I'm sure will happen at some point. The Jackbox games, Jackpack Party Pack 6 just came out.
Whoa.
So we'll definitely be playing some of that stuff.
Which one has the one where you can design a t-shirt?
That's 4, I believe. That's some T-Fury.
Can we play that game and just design all of Kanye West's t-shirts that say Jesus with circles on them? Jesus is king. Nothing against Jesus. I have everything against bad graphic design.
And possibly Kanye West at this point. My goodness.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know what his deal is. But yeah, that seems like Baby Time Jr. t-shirt game t-shirts.
Have you ever played Patently Ridiculous?
I've heard of it, never played. Or I think I've watched people play it, but never played it.
So it's basically every pack has like a drawing game, and it's the drawing game for pack 5. But basically, what you do is someone like pitches an idea, like, I fall down too much, and someone has to like come up with an idea to solve it and draw it and pitch it. It's pretty fun.
Nice. I think I actually have watched people play it. Is that the one where did Donkey do that where he made Morse?
Yeah.
It was just a long horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people play that. Maybe I have played that. I don't know. If I did, I was probably fine. Or very drunk or something. Either way, it wasn't super memorable, or it was so memorable that I don't remember it.
It's my favorite of the drawing games, but like T-Fury's still good. So yeah, we're going to have a ton of games. We would love for you to watch. So Saturday, November 2nd, starting at 10 a.m., going all the way till Sunday at 10 a.m. So the full 25 hours. Someone will be up for at least every portion of the hour. Maybe just one person, maybe multiple. And it'll be streaming on my channel, twitch.tv/zippybyday. I know Nando's channel is going to be streaming from the part that he's there. For some of the bigger games like Monikers and Blood on the Clock Tower, we'll probably be doing like a double stream experience.
Yeah. We'll do like World Series of Poker, where I will just stream my card the entire time. And then, we'll figure something out that makes sense. I don't know exactly what it will be, but I'm sure we'll figure something cool
There will
out.
be streams aplenty. So, that's all I got to say about that. We'll be tweeting everything out, so we'll have all of our page information so you could donate. Right now, so we have a couple incentives up. We're doing one where 2 people will be handcuffed. The first 2 people to $250 will be handcuffed together for like an hour. Lorenzo,
What?
one of our yeah, right. Why not?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Lorenzo already hit 250. I'm the next closest, but if you want to propel someone to 250, they'll be handcuffed to Lorenzo for an hour. We're trying to do some like weird, wacky incentive things. I know, like I'm gonna eat an onion. Maybe if I hit 500, I'm gonna eat a chocolate onion. And I did update my goal to 500 from 400 because
you're running from the onion, huh?
No, I'm not running from the onion, but I thought about it. I'm like, if I'm doing the onion, I want to raise $500. Yeah, I'm not running from the onion.
It seems like you're running from the onion. Wow, I gotta update my goal to 501. I didn't even know this was possible.
Damn it. Oh yeah, you can just click edit.
We'll see. I know, I like 401. It seems attainable.
Our team goal is, so every year we try and do a team goal that matches our previous year's what we got. So last year we got 1,600, so that's our team goal. And we're almost halfway there. We're at like $700. So we're going to smash right through that goal. I'm hoping we can get to 2,000. So knock
on wood. It should be good. I'm definitely we'll spread the word. I'll figure out some sort of goal thingy specific to me. And
we did agree, though, if you donate $100, you could pick an episode in Mostly Nitpicking.
Yes. However, if 8 people do that or something, and you're number 8, don't be shocked if yours doesn't happen
until 2021,
like later next year. Yeah, like we'll try to get them all within reason, but yeah, it I guess that makes the most sense, right? They'll be in order of giving.
Yes,
it won't be in order like who gives the most money. It'll just be who gives it in what time. So. That'll be how that works.
You could put comments with your donation. You could either leave the movie with the comment or message us, DM us or whatever. Leaving the movie in the comment is probably the best way to ensure that it gets received.
Yeah, so, tweet us or anything like that. We'll keep an eye on it and tweet about the stream and stuff if you do, stream it, because that'd be cool. Or not if you stream it, if you watch it, or if you put a donation, because I know a couple people already have done that. Tim from Hello Future Me just donated a little while ago, put a nice little tweet out. So stuff like that, spreading the word, is very helpful. Yeah.
And again, if you're listening to this podcast and it's during the stream, watch the stream. It'll be, this podcast will be great, but it could wait. And there's nothing in this movie. It's
going to be spectacular.
We're just going to yell a lot or complain or whatever.
It's going to be amazing. But yeah, so
but
watch out for that.
It can wait.
It can wait. We'll be here when you get back. And yeah, this is so that's all happening on November 2nd to November 3rd. So there's plenty of time. If you get this, if you listen to this right when it gets released, you'll have plenty of time to go to the stream and say hi to us. Okay, DJ.
Ugh.
What are we gonna do now?
We're going to talk about Terminator Genisys, a movie that is... So, I have a question. As I was watching this terrible, terrible movie, I was thinking about it. I'm like, wow, this weekend, the 6th movie of this franchise came out. And speaking of Extra Life, you've been doing a theme where you've been naming the donors after movies based on when they came in order.
And we're almost out of movies with like X number of movies.
Yeah, like James Bond maybe at some point. You could do Harry Potter
James
for
Bond.
7 and 8.
We're out of Harry. We passed 7 and 8.
Okay.
But also I'm trying to pick movies that are quality from those things.
Well, you could do Star Wars Episode 9 and just hope a lot.
Yeah, I'm just going to say that. Well, and then it's weird because, like, is that the 9th one in that series or is it the 11th one in that series? You know, when you throw in Solo
tricky.
And the bad Clone Wars one. But yeah, we just did, I want to say Tim was 8. He was the Piglet's Big Movie of donors. But we've got, I'll read my back. We got Piglet's Big Movie. We got Rise of the Planet of the Apes was 7. Muppet Treasure Island was 6. 3, 4, and 5 were Thor Ragnarok, Rocky 4, and Fast 5. 2 was Iron Man 2, and 1 was the best movie ever made, whatever it is, because that can be number 1 of any franchise at that point when we're doing this. But sure, so let's say number 1 was like Goodfellas or something.
Yeah.
Still no sequel to that. But yeah, so I'll have to figure out, I don't know, what the... So few franchises have 9. Star Wars will definitely come up at some point. Godzilla, maybe. Like the MCU, if you count it as one whole big thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like they've made 22 movies, but eventually it will just be numbers, which is fine.
Oh,
People
right.
like numbers
So
too.
I forgot where I was going with that, but I realized where I was going with it. Is this a franchise that actually deserves a 6th movie? Not only in terms of quality, but is it popular enough? Like when we did the Harry Potter, the whole thing, it was, got a lot of response. A lot of people were into it. People follow it. People follow Star Trek. They follow Star Wars. Even Hunger Games, has like a, its own section of Think Geek when, Think Geek was its own thing. But like, is Terminator in that class? Do people actually care about Terminator?
No.
Oh,
without
okay.
a doubt they do not. They shouldn't. And I think if there was any goodwill left after 4, this movie would have destroyed all of it. And the only reason anybody is seeing this new one is because Linda Hamilton is back. Here's what I think people care about the Terminator franchise. Arnold Schwarzenegger is fun. I like him a lot. I want him to keep working. And I'm happy to see him in this. He seems like he's having a pretty good time.
It's fair.
In all the movies I've seen him in, which is I haven't seen 4. I know he appears as like a robot at the end in like CGI mode. So I don't even know if he filmed those scenes. But in this one, 1, 2, obviously, and even 3. I think 3. He's pretty good in 3. I like him a lot. I think you can kind of count on these movies to have pretty solid effects. Like, I think there's some stuff in this that look very CGI, especially in this one. There's like a amazingly bad helicopter chase that I absolutely hated. However, just like there's things like when because like each movie, so the first movie I think did a lot of prosthetics, and that's why Arnold Schwarzenegger looked so cool, and like why it was so interesting. Second movie also did a lot of prosthetics on Arnold. There's that scene where he like fixes the back of his head, which is great. And then they also did Liquid Metal Terminator, which is one of the best effects in the history of film. 3, I can't remember. They had the girl that's boobs grew. I'm sure there was other stuff about 3 that was exciting. 4, I also didn't see. But this, like, the liquid metal kind of carbon fiber Terminator looked pretty cool. And, like, that effect was almost always worked for me. It is seeing him, like, get punched, see him get magnetized. So, like, all of that works. And then I think that, like, I don't know. The pitch for this movie, I think, is what always sells me. Is just time-traveling killer robots. You would see a movie about that and you go like, well, it's that, or I'm gonna go see the, movie, whatever that Cops one was you were talking about last week. Like, of course, time-traveling killer robots should, on paper, be a very good movie that everyone will love. Unfortunately, they found a way to make time-traveling killer robots boring. And they've done it twice now, although I haven't seen 4, but that's what I've heard. And I haven't seen 6 yet, but I've also heard not amazing things. So once you burn the Arnold goodwill, which it's so funny how they keep bringing him back even though he's always dead, and you burn the and the effects catch up to everybody, like, you know, there's other movies now with great effects, then it really is like, is the pitch for this movie working anymore, and is the audience too old to care because they haven't seen the first two, or the first two don't feel special anymore? And I think that's the problem that this new one has. It's like, there's people who don't know Linda Hamilton from these movies at all because they just never saw one or two.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, this franchise is bad. It should be thrown into a thing of molten lava,
or have
whatever.
like weird chemicals rain on it from above to melt it.
Yes.
It's
Or
another
I
option.
say in 3 they rip someone apart with a magnet. They do that in this one too.
Yeah.
Seems like magnets are the best way to kill a Terminator, and apparently you can just have them like on you. So I should probably start doing.
What do you use that
often.
for? To find my
Yeah.
keys.
I'm be honest, that was the one line I liked in this movie.
Really?
I think the delivery, I think the delivery of that line, where, because it's like, it just, so like, I don't even care. It's out of order. It doesn't matter. This movie is dumb. Jai Courtney has been arrested. Arnold Schwarzenegger has made these weird little like brass knuckles that are electrified, like electromagnets, so he can use them to punch the Terminator because it's made of this weird carbon fiber magnet metal stuff. That's the only thing he can use to kill it. So they get arrested. This thing is on the table. Cop is interrogating Jai Courtney, and he says, "What do you use this for?" And then, like, he, I guess, accidentally turns it on, and it pulls the metal chair in the interrogation room over to the table. And Jai Courtney looks at it, looks up, and goes, "Find my keys." And it's really the only comedy line that worked for me. Besides that, yeah, all the rest of the comedy is dumb. But yeah, I like that line.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, no, they've done all of the things you could, like, I don't know how they're going to kill Terminators in this new one. They have to make a kryptonite for them because they've killed them in every single way I think you can.
Just shotguns over and over. Maybe there'll be like a mega shotgun.
Or that sniper rifle. The sniper
Oh,
rifle
yeah.
that kills Terminators that they forget about immediately.
Oh, God. Yeah,
It's a Terminator sniper kill. Yeah. When they go to, like, the arsenal, it's like submachine guns. Like, why? You guys know those don't work. Are you going to try to kill cops with them? You should just have a row of 50 of those sniper rifles from the 80s or whatever. So, like, by now we'd have even better ones.
So there are a couple things that I just want to call out real quick. So Nando had me watch the trailer before we did this, and it was such a good idea. The big reveal at the end of the trailer is that, oh, young Arnold is back, and old Arnold's like, I was waiting for you, and they just they make it feel like it's gonna be this big thing that happens in like minute 10, and they just take him out with that sniper rifle Nando was talking about. Just
right? It's
86
so upsetting.
Yeah,
because
it's
I
pretty
forgot
bad.
about this. Like, not I forgot about it, I guess, because I've never seen it. But when that fight started, I was kind of surprised. Like, not surprised, but excited. I was like, oh, cool. We're going to see, you know, we're testing the limits of this CGI, and it doesn't even matter. Like, that part of the movie, I still don't really know what happened with Arnold, why there are two Arnolds at all. I don't think it's ever explained where Arnold 2 came from.
And forgive us, audience, for explaining this out of order. It's you know what? You'd be probably more confused if we explained it in order.
Yeah.
But,
We're spoiling the whole movie. It's not worth watching. Don't watch it. Listen to us and then maybe watch it and see if that helps. But this movie is bad. It's maybe the worst movie we've ever done.
Yeah, it's so bad. So this Sarah Connor gets sent a Terminator to her when she's 9, and this is like old Arnold, and he fights off against young Arnold, like the Arnold from Terminator 1, and there's no payoff.
Naked like Arnold from the scene where he kills Sam Rockwell or whatever. It's Sam Rockwell, right? In the first one?
Is it?
Yeah, one of the thugs. Oh, no, it's Bill Paxton. One of the thugs that he goes like, get your clothes. The one who in this movie is just some guy with a mohawk. I'm pretty sure originally that was Bill Paxton.
It was, the
like,
punk leader. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So, it's the fight on the, like, in the observatory. And yeah, he just like, he walks up and then Arnold's like, I've been waiting for you. And then it's kind of, he has like a hoodie on and he reveals his face and you're like, oh my God, it's also Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then, you just like far away, what's her name? Sarah Connor goes like, and then takes a sniper shot. It shoots the Terminator in the chest. And part of me is like, okay, now it's an even fight. But then it just dies.
Yep.
It's dead. It's so upsetting. I don't even kind of get it.
So the other thing about this movie is it takes place basically in 3 timelines. 2028, which is like future, whatever, the beginning of the movie when they beat Skynet or whatever. Then 1984. And the movie does not know it's 1984, except for the line, "Hey, this guy's one short of a six-pack, eh?" Or one can short of a six-pack, whatever, and the big mohawk. Besides that, it's not 1984, and then it's 2017. So great. Thanks, movie.
It's so stupid too, because they time travel. The movie starts at the beginning in like the future, time travel backwards to 84, and then the characters time travel to 2017. The movie was made in 2015 to prevent the installation of an app that definitely existed in 2015 in some form. Like, we had this at that point in history.
Yeah.
But they still go into the near future, even though when they're about to go into the near future, Arnold Schwarzenegger can't go because his arm has been damaged and he'll explode because of that. You need living tissue to go back in time, or forward, I guess. And Arnold says, and we call him Pops in this movie because he raised Sarah Connor.
He's Pops.
Arnold says, he's Pops, like from Wayans Brothers, rest in peace. But he says, he's like, "I'm gonna take the long way." And she's like, "Oh no." And she gets all sad. And I'm like, he's a robot. Bury him under the ground. It doesn't matter. You guys can also age naturally, because it seems like there's a big risk associated with this maybe killing you. Like, 1984 to 2017, many people have lived that long. So many people. Even people that were in their early 20s in 1984. They'd be in their 50s or 60s, but it gives you so much time to get this all going.
I was going to say, instead of trying to beat the clock, you have tons of time. Think of the resources you could attain. And for what they're able to do in the small amount of time, if they had 34 years or 33 years to do that, oh my God.
Yeah.
They would be unstoppable.
Even 3 years. Go to 2010, 2011. Have Arnold, a computer who knows how to build a time machine, tell you a bunch of stuff you can bet on, so you can just become an ultra billionaire, right?
And
invent Apple and whatever. Yeah.
And then buy out Skynet or Genisys or whatever.
Cyberdyne, whatever. You'll figure it out. There's a million different companies this thing ends up being, but whatever. Just buy it. Because John Connor, who is the bad guy who is the Terminator in this movie, whatever, it's in the trailer.
Spoiler. Yeah, it's in the trailer.
Spoiler, I don't care.
James Cameron loved it.
Well, and it's in the first minute of, in the first 2 minutes, or let's say first scene, when they send Kyle Reese back. John Connor is murdered by the Doctor Who. What's his name? Matt Smith, I think is his name. Mm-hmm. Who's just some guy in the movie. We don't it's not like he's been an established character. And then he shows up later, right? And he calls himself, I'm pretty sure he calls himself John Connor, right? So you'd also be able to get a jump on that guy. You'd be able to keep an eye out for people that shouldn't be in their timeline. And then you'd be like, oh shit, this is John Connor. Because he comes back and he starts doing stuff. But if you're a billionaire, you can just hire people to kill that guy. Use electromagnets to crush him at a garbage dump, and then you're done. These movies, obviously characters don't do the smartest thing, because that wouldn't make the movie as interesting, even though it would, because it's so much less interesting if you have to watch these morons scramble around with shotguns trying to shoot the Terminator they know can't be killed with shotguns. But this movie could be a little bit more interesting. I at this point, I want to see a Terminator movie where they really do their best. They're okay, we get here, and we do this, and we do this, and then we do this. Because really, all the Terminator does in this movie is walk slowly toward you. And if it's able to get you, then you're screwed. But, if there was a Terminator that was good at stuff, then maybe you'd have a problem. But in this, you don't. Because the Terminators are all dumb, and the only reason it's hard to kill them is because the people are all dumber. But also, the ticking clock in this movie is ridiculous. I've never seen a movie with a worse ticking clock. All right. So how about this? Let's start here, DJ.
Okay.
Let's talk about the actual movie itself.
Okay.
Because I think we've gone through some of the things that we find annoying or funny or whatever, but we haven't yet talked about what the movie is actually about, and it's garbage. Like,
yeah, it's true.
The plot, and I'll just, listen, I usually... like, to pull back the curtain a little bit, I usually try to be pretty nice about movies. Not like, I would say not uncharacteristically nice, but not like lying or anything. But I do try to be nice, just in case at some point I'm ever in Hollywood and I have to work with, say, Ang Lee. He probably knows what's wrong with Gemini Man. However, it helps if there's not some clip of me saying, Ang Lee, what a hack, I can't stand it, he should never work in this town again. This is going to not be that. I'm totally ready to just say, like, I think this movie is a disaster.
Wow.
It should have killed this franchise. Everything should kill this franchise. Everything in this movie is a metaphor for this franchise. It is a movie about, like, rebooting, and a movie about things being familiar but not as good. It's a movie about this thing that keeps showing up and just won't die even though we keep killing it. Like, it is so perfectly a capsule of itself, and yet it's also super boring. But I think it's important. Well, let's take one step further back. Talk about Terminator movies a little bit.
Okay,
so there have been 6, including this one that just came out that neither of us have seen, Dark Fate. 6 Terminator movies. There was one Terminator television show. None of them, there's no, like, agreed upon specific Terminator canon. So much so that in an interview that we'll probably get to eventually, James Cameron kind of says that 3 and 4 didn't happen. But it's super unclear what that even means. Most of the actors are recast movie to movie, which is why it's such a big deal when, like, what's her name, Linda Hamilton showed up in 6. Because it's like, oh, there have been 4 Sarah Connors since her, or something like that. Like, why? That's crazy that we have a new Sarah Connor. But DJ, so let's go one by one. Opinion on Terminator movies. Terminator 1, The Terminator, I believe, from 1984 or 2 or whatever. What'd you think of that?
Like, good movie. I struggle. So it's not a problem with that movie, right? But the whole franchise starts with the premise of time travel. Like, it's fine. Like, I think it's not a, like, hot take to say that the first Terminator movie is, like, a quality movie and it's good.
Oh, yeah. I'd say it's up there in terms of, like, perfect self-contained movies. Like, almost like with, like, Star Wars, where I know a lot of people will say they like Empire better, or Empire is better, which I understand. But I just love A New Hope, because it's like, it hits all the beats, tells a very, like, complete and fun story. And I think Terminator 1 is the same kind of thing, although obviously it's a very different movie than A New Hope, where Terminator 2 is the one I think people remember more fondly. But Terminator 1 is, like, such a tight script, and it's so special.
Yeah, agreed.
And it was the first one. It's the first one in the franchise, directed by James Cameron. I want to say probably also written, at least partially, by James Cameron. And it was before any of his other big, not like any of his other big movies, but the big movies people remember him from, obviously Titanic, Avatar, and even Terminator 2, obviously before that. I want to say did he do Alien 1 or Aliens?
I don't know.
I want to say he did one of the Alien movies, and I can never remember which. As a director, let me see. I got a list of stuff open for him. But, like, so he did Aliens, but he did that after the Terminator. So the Terminator was his big kind of, here I go, I'm, gonna take a shot at this, being a director, and it was his, like, it gave him a blank check to make stuff like Aliens, and also The Abyss, which is okay. But, like, he made Terminator 1, Terminator 2. He did not direct any of the rest of them. He produced them all, but it's never clear how much control he had. I'm sure he could have had control, but also it seems like he just wants to make Avatar movies. So I'm sure he just let them do what they want. Oh, yeah. He wanted to do that so badly that he let them do Alita Battle Angel by themselves. Like, in order of importance in franchises, it seems like it goes for him, Avatar, Alita Battle Angel, Terminator.
That's crazy, right? Like,
I agree. It is absolutely insane. Although I can see him maybe making T2, seeing what happened with T3 and going like, oh wait, this franchise is fundamentally broken. It should be left in the dust. Like, I'll let them pay me to make more of them, but I'm not making another one of these. You can't make movies that are good about this anymore. because the fun thing about one is it functions as a horror movie and like I guess maybe even thriller, but it's like just a movie about a big guy stalking a woman at like nightclubs and stuff. He's indestructible for some reason, and he's like weird and like kind of, he has no personality. Besides that, it's very unclear until later in the game that he is a robot. It's also very unclear that he is a time traveler. Which is, I think, why Terminator works so well. The first one is because it's so, like, it's not concerned with how Terminators work. It's not concerned with what Terminators are or the future. All you need is Kyle Reese to say, like, listen, in the future, you have a son and he's the leader of the Resistance, okay? This guy's gonna kill us. Let's run from him. And that's the movie. Whereas these are nothing but technobabble but like, just nonsense. Linda Hamilton is in one. She's great in one. I think she's good in two, but I love her in one as just like a woman who's caught up in all of this and just wants to go to the club and have fun.
Do you think she's going to be good in 6? Like,
no, I don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't. She hasn't been acting for so long, right? Like, they kind of pulled her out of mothballs for this. Yeah. I can't imagine. And I mean, she was good in one, obviously, as like something very specific, as kind of like a horror movie, you know, like protagonist. She's good in 2 as like a super action movie, like, because in 2, Sarah Connor has been training for years and she's like an action hero now. I have a feeling, just from hearing a little bit about this movie and kind of getting a sense for what's going on, I think if you had Linda Hamilton with all returning characters, I could see the movie really putting stuff on her shoulders. But it feels to me like this movie has her almost in the Terminator role, where she is there and she's doing things, but she's not like acting. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's reacting when she's like actively, and then there's some other character that's filling the new Sarah Connor role, and that character is so it seems like there is a Sarah Connor who is the person that needs to be saved. Seems to also be a Terminator in this movie that is a good person, that is this tall girl with short hair, and then Linda Hamilton is also there, and then also there's a bad Terminator, and I have a feeling Arnold Schwarzenegger's in there somewhere. So her role just seems redundant. In a way that makes me go like, well, she's here, but I doubt she'll be doing much because everything she'd say, the other Terminator should probably be saying. And everything she would say about the past, Arnold should probably be saying. So I don't think she's going to be bad, but I don't think, my guess is the movie's going to utilize her poorly.
Okay.
Also, apparently she was in Chuck for a while. So she's been doing stuff, just nothing...
like super notable, I guess you would say.
Yeah, I don't think any like big releases. Like she'll do like a voice for like, or she was in a show called Defiance. I don't know. So Terminator 1, great. Terminator 2, also great. Very different. Action movie. Action comedy. Do you like Terminator 2?
I like Terminator 2. You know what I really remember about Terminator 2? The video game on Sega Genesis. Great video game.
I never played that one.
It's solid.
What's it about? Like, is it the movie of the game?
It's pretty much the movie, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Have you ever ridden the ride of it at Universal?
I did when I was a kid, yeah.
So I never got a shot at it. What's it about? Is it just also scenes from the movie again?
I think you're on like a Humvee or something like that. You're running from the T-1000 because that's introduced in that movie, right?
Right. Yes. Oh, we should go through that too. So movie 1, T-800, Arnold Schwarzenegger, large man. Not really too many superpowers. He has robot eyes so he can target you and stuff. He's an awful shot, and he's indestructible. He's just like a big guy. And then in T2, they introduced the T-1000, which is your liquid metal Terminator. It's terrific in that movie. In 1992 or whenever that movie came out, it was like an amazing effect. And it still looks great. You go back and watch that and you're like, damn, that's crazy for 1991. In it though, so is the T-800 in that one? Because I know at some points he becomes like the T-900.
I don't even think I remember that. It has been a while since I've seen these movies. I want to say like high school, so it's been a long time.
I want it because I'm trying to remember. Okay, so then there's Terminator 3.
The bad one. The very bad one.
Yeah, so that one has the TX, and that's the like sexy lady Terminator.
Yeah.
That is both liquid metal and a skeleton. Which, I forget who. I was listening to the other day, the Red Letter Media one of these, talking about, I think, this new one. Just because I was like, I need someone to explain all this shit that's going on to me. And they made the point, like, that's a step back. Liquid Metal, it seems like the Terminator design, from a functionality perspective, peaked at T-1000.
Yeah.
But because
yeah.
they needed to make a new Terminator every movie, they seem to make worse and worse Terminators. Like, why are you making this new one made of, like, why does this one have a skeleton too? Because you can't shoot the Terminator, like the T-1000, and it's unshootable. So besides this TX having boobs that can grow, which is like a really it's so funny.
It's a very
cool
2003 thing, because I think a movie came out in 2003.
Yeah, it did. You're right. It's very 2003 because not only is she like just like a blonde, like they might as well be Matrix characters. She's like a mix between like design from the Matrix sequels where everyone is just wearing red leather and like or black leather and like the X-Men movies. Like there was that time where everybody was just, well, what would you fight in? Some sort of gigantic leather ensemble covers my arms and legs that like
Makes
the
me look
actors
cool.
in the movie can't walk in. Yeah, like so hers is pretty rough. But T2, and I think people forget this. I forget, did we talk about this last week, how Emily hasn't seen this T2, and just how people haven't seen T2 and how it filtered through pop culture. So I've talked with this about like with a bunch of people.
Okay, I don't recall this, but yeah.
So like, if you haven't seen Terminator 2, which you should, it's a great movie. I'm sure it's findable. I'm sure it's on Netflix or something, or the Terminator specific streaming service that'll exist when you listen to this podcast.
Yeah, it's coming out.
I hope it's called Genisys. There should be an app called Genisys. Is there?
There must be. Hold on. If I Google Genisys, what comes up? It's probably the movie, right?
You would assume.
Oh,
right?
it's
if you do it in the App Store.
So the first thing that comes up is there's a Michigan credit union called Genisys.
Oh my God, we have to go stop them.
And we have to say it's not Genesis spelt like the Book of Genesis. It's
not.
Genisys.
This is so 2015 because there were apps already, right? They knew how we made apps.
Yeah.
Took out all the vowels. GNSS. That would be what the Genesis app would be called. We wouldn't be adding letters and swapping out letters. It would be like, Fiverr, FVRR, or whatever. All apps are 2 syllables long. All of them. Snapchat, Facebook, Google, Twitter. There's Genesis, 3 syllables. The only one I can think of right now is Instagram, but everyone either calls it Insta or Gram. So what would people call this? Yo, I posted something to Sis this morning. It magically connects my phone and TV. Can you imagine?
Yeah, so I gotta tell you, a character is explaining Genesis to Sarah Connor and Kyle.
The doctor?
I know we're diverting, but I need to say this. So the Genesis app is like, oh, it's gonna be so sick. My phone's gonna be connected to my tablet, connected to my speaker, and I'm like Google? They're making Google?
Yeah.
Is this Google?
Or Facebook, or all of the ones to Amazon, all the ones that keep trying to do this? In 2015, we had most of this.
Yeah.
We have so much of this now that the companies can't make it work. Like, Facebook is trying to figure out video calling with their weird little tablets that live in your kitchen or whatever, and no one even cares because there's 2 other ones that are better than that. So, none of this shit matters. It's so is so weird that in the distant future, it's funny too how it's it's an operating system. And then this guy is like you're saying, it's going to control my phone and my house and my sweaters and whatever. And then the only because from a standpoint of of a movie audience, just someone who has observed 2017, the time when this takes place, you're like, well, that's not special. What's the deal with that? And then you see a news report later where someone's talking to the guy who makes it, and he says, do you think it's a good idea to add Genesis to all the nukes? And he's like, yeah, Genesis is cool, whatever. It's so funny that, imagine if they gave all the nukes Alexa, too. They just threw an Amazon Echo on every nuke so
can you imagine,
control all the nukes.
Alexa, call Duke. Calling nukes.
Yeah, right? People on podcasts would be launch nukes, and then it would launch the actual nukes via your Alexas, and you'd be like, oh, I gotta apologize last week for launching all the nukes. It was a funny joke, but they did it anyway. Whoops. And
oh my God.
Okay, so all right, more plot, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. So,
yeah.
So, okay, so Terminator 1, great. Terminator 2. So the thing I think people, not like forget, but the thing that's gotten lost in the history of Terminator and how, like, massively Terminator 1, but mostly Terminator 2 affected popular culture. Because there are characters in shows that their entire deal is they're a Terminator parody, right? Like,
yeah.
Jorgen von Strangle, the leader of the Fairly Odd Parents, is mostly a Terminator parody. Like, he's an Arnold parody, but there's no way the kids watching that show have seen Commando. They mostly kind of know him from Terminator.
Yeah.
And, like, there's so many times in a movie, so, like, in Terminator 2, for instance, the shitty little John Connor, who works really well in that because he is shitty, because he's like a Bart Simpson kind of, it is like the Terminator has to come protect him. Terminator T-800, Arnold, has to protect him from Robert Patrick, the T-1000, the like liquid metal Terminator, which is the big twist of that movie, which, as we'll kind of get to, is spoiled by the trailer. All of the big twists of all of these movies are spoiled by the trailer. So in this one, it's that the T-800 is now good. The T-800 is like a robot. It has no personality, but it has to drive John and Sarah Connor around a while and like be their caretaker. And this like little annoying kid talks to it. And John Connor at one point is like, you gotta be cool, man. You gotta say like, hasta la vista, baby. So later in the movie, when the Terminator shoots, I would assume the T-1000, I can't remember what the exact moment is, the Terminator says, hasta la vista, baby, and then shoots him, and it's like, cool. But the comedy, the inherent comedy of that moment is what makes it so fun. However, if you've only watched characters that are parodies of this Terminator character and know he says that when he shoots a guy, the fun of it is lost on you. You don't know that is the Terminator being an awkward guy kind of trying to connect with this child. You just think this is a cool thing that people said in 1991. So I think that is the single thing. If I had to pull something out of Terminator 2 and transplant it into whatever the new Terminator movies are, it would be this, not like comedy and not like self-awareness, but just this juxtaposition of comedy and action that merges and is why these work so well. Because I'm taking a big old guess, but having seen this one, having seen 5, I'm pretty sure I know. I'm feeling 6 might as well just be the end Hasta La Vista and not the beginning one. Like, it's only an action movie now. They have lost the comedy.
Well,
and
this movie is only an action movie. There is barely any comedy, and the movie does not care about plot. They just want to get you to the next thing so that you could watch and be like, all right, I guess this is happening now. But there's no structure. In Genisys, Sarah Connor's character is bouncing over the place emotionally for what she's trying to do.
She's trying to hide her accent most of the time. I would say that's her main character trait. She sounds like an American doing a cowboy accent, or an English person doing an American accent, but their star that they're looking at is cowboy. Hey soldier, come with me. We've got to stop all the Terminators. And that's kind of give her a little bit of credit compared to Jai Courtney. It's really hard to act through an accent. I really don't think she's a bad actress, but I definitely think that was tough for her, specifically for that reason.
Oh, I'm sure. It just didn't help that, and I don't think this is her fault. I think it might be a writing issue, but I think a lot of what she's trying to do throughout the movie is kind of bogged down in, it's a confusing movie. A lot of what's going on just isn't clear. So, and especially for her motivations, but sorry, we'll keep going with Terminator.
Her motivations are just, Sarah Connor does these things in other movies. Linda Hamilton acted like this, so that's what she's going to act like and do. And I think it's very evident when you look at the romantic subplot between her and Jai Courtney. It's so clear that it doesn't exist. They have no chemistry. They don't spend nearly enough time together to have any romantic anything. However, the movie is as we all know, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor have to get together and then have John Connor. So that's what they're going to do, regardless of whether character-wise it makes sense for any of them. So T2, great. T2's fantastic. T3, not the worst one, but definitely the part of the franchise where things really start to dip. And by saying not the worst one, haven't seen 4, but I just saw this, and this is miles worse than T3.
Oh my god, yeah.
T3, I would say, is what this is a lot, where it's like, we're going to redo this scene. We're going to redo a bit where the Terminator goes to a bar. But instead of taking cool sunglasses, he takes goofy, like, star sunglasses and stuff like that. And I think it doesn't strike exactly the right balance of comedy. And again, and this is another big problem with the Terminator movies that will become apparent as we go, they have a really hard time casting actors that, like, can hold their own against Arnold. And not like as like a dramatic, like, scary presence, but just can act well enough with Arnold to make the movie interesting.
Yeah.
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger is great. He really is great at these. And it's easy to forget because these movies stink. But, like, he is the only reason that number 3 is watchable. And he's the only part of 5 that I really like, except he's not in it that much, which sucks.
Yeah.
But, like, Terminator 3 has Nick Stahl. Like, it's funny how few stars these movies have actually managed to produce, you know?
That's a good point. I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but I think it goes to the point where it's just, these aren't very popular. Like, they're a huge touchstone for the 90s, but
yeah,
like as a piece of pop culture, I don't think they don't have deep fan bases. There's not a deep universe, and because, like, the beginning premise for one movie, this might be a cautionary tale in, like, franchises gone wrong, where it's like, oh, you have a great premise for one movie, and then you have nothing else. It's not a deep universe. You're bouncing between a couple of years, and your bad guy can never go away. And especially when it's just like, your bad guy's always technology. Ooh.
And they can't, like, the great thing about Terminator 1 to Terminator 2 is it seemed like they went, okay, so Terminator 1, right, horror movie, the guy is a bad guy, the Terminator has to come get Sarah Connor. Terminator 2, they could have gone, all right, we're going to send Robert Patrick's Terminator now, and that's running after Sarah Connor. But they did a really good job of pivoting from horror to action comedy, and they never pivoted again. They tried in 4. They tried to pivot to straight war movie, and that didn't work. But I think what happened with this franchise, and I think part of why Terminator 2 really had time, like, worked, is because Terminator 1 was a big breakout success, right? Terminator 2 comes out 10 years later almost, and they go like, all right, well, do what you want, James Cameron. Hopefully you can make this work as a franchise. And then it did. And then I feel like whoever makes it, Universal or whatever, got very precious with the franchise. And I don't think they would let it pivot. I feel like there were people at Universal, maybe this is James Cameron, who are like, well, no, we're making Terminator movies like Terminator 2, because that's the best one. So we're making another action comedy. Instead of maybe going in a different direction, I don't know what it would be, straight comedy, like a different kind of action movie. Because when you look at Terminator 2, Terminator 3, 5, and I'm guessing 6, they all fit in the same relative mode. Like, it's like you're a guy and a girl and a Terminator running away from another Terminator, right? But there was a mode before that, and it was a different speed, and it was a different atmosphere and energy. And I think they're chasing that lightning, where they really should just honestly like take a dartboard with all of the subgenres and throw a dart at it and go, okay, how can we make this a Terminator movie? But take the ones off the board that they've already done. Because it seems like the only way this franchise can move forward is by determining, like, giving it a completely different point of view and framing device, which they refuse to do. Because then you have to do what this movie does and 3 does, and I'm guessing 4, and I'm almost positive 6, is really lean into the mythology, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't.
There's nothing here.
It's like, this guy time traveled to here, but we already stopped the apocalypse. Well, actually, you see, you didn't stop the apocalypse, because actually it goes until the next time you thought it was, and even if you stop it then, don't worry, because you didn't stop it. Like, it's infuriating how much this franchise has no idea what it is. It doesn't know what a Terminator movie is. It just, all it knows is Terminator movies are like Terminator 2. I think that's the guiding star for all of these movies. And they're just shifting around little parts. Like, what if this guy was this character instead of this character? But they really need to clear the board and put different cards on the table and, like, make a different kind of thing.
What's crazy is that, well, yeah, make a different kind of thing for sure. But what's crazy about this stupid movie is that it was supposed to be a reset, but
yeah,
you're not. It's like you said, you're not changing what it is you're fundamentally doing, so it's just kind of crappy. Unfortunately, and boring. These movies are just like fundamentally boring.
Insanely boring. Here's my other guess at what happened, what went wrong with this movie. My guess is Terminator 1 made a lot of money, but then Terminator 2 came around and made a lot more. And Terminator 2 is a like family action comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, and I keep saying action comedy. I think action comedy is a little broad. It's an action movie mostly, but with a lot of like comedy and levity. It's a very well balanced action movie, which is what James Cameron, I would say, is best at. Although Titanic isn't really that, but like when you look at the Terminator movies, Avatar, which not great, but really does hold on to a lot of that. Aliens, and this is why I really want to separate James Cameron as far as I possibly can from all of this, because I want his reputation to still like exist in my head. One of my favorite movies of all time, True Lies, is he has does really a job of like balancing all this.
Yeah.
And I think when they expanded Terminator to a wider audience and made it something that kids could watch, it shut a lot of doors. They couldn't make it back into a small horror movie because it had to be this big, giant action thing. The same way I don't think they could, like, before the Universal, or the cinematic universe, you had to go bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I think if they knew what they were doing, and they not if they knew what they were doing, but if they were able to take some risks, instead of making the next Terminator 2, they could make what would be a sidequel to Terminator and say, this is just a movie about Kyle Reese in the Resistance, and we're not going to really try to sync it up to the rest of them, but we're going to try to get the spirit of, like, being stalked by a monster thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They just tried to make the second one that they all really liked. Yeah, it's such a bummer.
You mentioned Terminator 4, which is a war movie, and so,
yeah.
right, it's a war movie, and you could argue it's trying to do something different. That movie had freaking Christian Bale in it, which is insane.
Right. Christian Bale and someone else, Sam Worthington at the time, coming off of Avatar. So, like, this should have been two humongous stars. Batman and Avatar Man. Jake Sully.
In a movie.
Everyone knows him from all of the rides. We talked about him at length last week. I want to even say, and the way, so Terminator 3 is fine. It doesn't matter. Terminator 3 did one interesting thing with the franchise, which is and I'm looking at it now, actually. Salvation was before Avatar, but it was about to be Sam Worthington was about to be the big star on the planet. But Terminator 3 ends with Terminator T-800 or T-900 or whatever he is, protecting John Connor. But the, like, twist that I don't think is great, but I think it's kind of interesting, isn't that they were supposed to stop Judgment Day, and that's what their like mission is. Secretly, the Terminator has just been trying to get like John Connor to a bomb shelter because Judgment Day has to happen, but John Connor and the girl, whoever it is supposed to survive. Not Linda Hamilton, like some girlfriend or whatever. Claire Danes. So like that's where Terminator 3 ends up, and it's good kind of because they lose to further the franchise, because eventually these had to stop if they kept subverting the Terminators and kept beating Skynet. But in this one, they don't really beat Skynet. So it's like, if you want to make a fourth movie, well, now you do what they did, which is make the movie that takes place after 3 in the Great War of Whatevers.
Right.
So what is 4? Explain 4 to me, because that's the one I haven't seen.
4 is just what I don't remember the exact plot. I only saw it when it came out in theaters, but I think someone gets captured. I could probably just Google this, but basically it's a rescue mission. The idea of it is like, all right, what do these Terminators look like once we're in like the apocalypse? And it's John Connor sending Kyle Reese on a mission because like someone got captured. But yeah, it's like a big war movie. It's like, actually, if you had like the war against the machines, you know, what would that look like? Guns against guns. I don't think there's any special Terminator.
I think there is.
Is there?
So I remember this from the trailer. There is a character who is both Terminator and man, and he doesn't know he's a Terminator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's like a sleeper cell Terminator. Yeah,
I think that's who Sam Worthington was. But again, I haven't seen this movie. But like I said, every Terminator movie twist is spoiled in the trailer, so I kind of remember that. And I know at the end, they go to the Terminator factory and fight CGI Arnold.
Yep, because the T-800s are all the new shit. You know what's funny is that movie takes place in 2018.
I remember when we did that last year, actually, when we had to fight all the Arnolds. It was pretty fun. They should put some clothes on him. They also, one more thing about this, they had to not use Arnold's face, I think. I'm pretty sure when they do the Arnold fight in 4, it's mostly in shadow. Embarrassingly so.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What were you going to say? Do you have anything else about 4?
Oh, no. It's I'm reading it, and it's just like, the John Connor needs to lead an attack on Skynet base because there's a new type of Terminator, the T-800. And, Mark, the guy who was captured.
Marcus Wright?
Yeah, was actually a Terminator. Whoa.
And also, this one has Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
So, this is the third Kyle Reese, or second Kyle Reese. I don't think this one has a Sarah Connor in it. But obviously that's gonna change in the next one. We'll get a new Kyle Reese and a new Sarah Connor. I think if I wanna come up with like a way to describe what's wrong with these movies and kind of like Terminator 1, every Terminator movie except for 2, except for 2 has had a naked Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, right? So 1 has the scene where he shows up and is like, give me your clothes. 3 redoes that scene. 4 has the robot one, which I'm assuming is also a naked one. 5 has a bunch of that stuff. Have you watched 1 in a while?
It's been a while, yeah.
You can just see his dick swinging around. Like, it's an R-rated movie in a way that you would never today. And when we get to 5, it does so much work to blur out every single butt. Terminator 5 is terrified of butts. And it's like, this is a PG-13 movie. You can show a butt or two. And I think that also kind of leads to the, like, man, these movies stopped being even kind of for adults. And not in a way like, well, obviously, we're going to there to see some dick. But in a way like, just like, this naked character always has to be covered in smoke, like a dictator trying to pretend to play the guitar. Because it needs to, like, because obviously our, like, dumb sensibilities would be completely distracted. But
my fragile young mind.
It's so, I mean, we're such little snowflakes. It's PC gone mad, DJ. That's what everyone says. But this one is so bad at, like, there's so many shots between that and Kyle Reese's time travel, and then Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor's time travel of, like, a character being, or the scene where they change clothes and she turns into a CGI shadow, where this movie is like, this is sexy. Obviously, we're not going to show you anything, because this movie's for 10-year-olds, but it's a very sexy movie for 10-year-olds. Like,
trust
it's just, it just got so embarrassingly far from this, like, not like raw, but like just like kind of like earnest movie that was 1 and 2. And it was like, yeah, if this character's gonna be naked, he's naked. That's the movie. That's what it is. He's a time-traveling robot from the future. It's scary. But in this, it's all CGI nonsense, trying to make it super sanitized. And I feel like a Terminator movie, if you watch 1 and you watch 5 back-to-back, you think they were from different, like, planets. It doesn't even seem like the right kind of, like, it just doesn't even seem close.
That's fair.
So Terminator 4, not great. Probably not worse than 3, I doubt worse than this, worse than Genisys. There was a show called The Sarah Connor Chronicles. I watched the first couple episodes of it. It was fine. Had Lena Headey, or Headley, or whatever her name is, as Sarah Connor.
Another Game of Thrones. Why all these Game of Thrones Sarah Connors?
We will get to it. So, Terminator.
Okay.
Yeah, we will. So Terminator. So that's Sarah Connor 2. I don't know if that movie had a Kyle Reese. This would be like John Connor 5. Because there's a new John Connor in every movie. Because he keeps growing up. I guess not in 1 because he isn't born. But in 2 it's the kid. In 3 it's that teenager. In 4 it's Christian Bale. And in 5 it's not 5. In the one with I just called it. What was it called? Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's a different like 12 or 15-year-old.
Gotcha.
So then we're here where we are. If you don't include all the video games, like you were saying, you played one of the video games.
Sega Genesis, baby.
And there's that one that's still in every movie theater in the world for some reason that was tied to the Terminator 4.
Yeah, the Salvation game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So then they made 5, Genisys. It stars Daenerys Targaryen as a non-British Sarah Connor. I'm only saying non-British because she's so trying so hard to be not British. I think she looks and dresses and like acts a little bit like Linda Hamilton. It's very clear that she is channeling that character.
Yeah.
I don't think she succeeds, obviously, but she's like, because she doesn't have the desperate Terminator 1, like, I don't know what I'm doing, Sarah Connor, but she also doesn't really sell the I know what I'm doing, like, super competent Sarah Connor of Terminator 2. She's really like a blank slate. They're all blank slates.
Especially this one. Like,
oh,
really.
so much. And then and then you got Kyle Reese, played by Jai Courtney. This would be Kyle Reese 3, unless there's one in Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I doubt it. Based on where it exists in the story, I don't think it would make sense. Having seen this, I hope he gets killed in the first scene of Suicide Squad 2 or whatever. I don't want...
No, don't say that.
I understand why the Die Hard franchise is dead. I understand all of it. I understand why the Divergent movies went to like straight to TV for their final one. He is not good in this.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Oh my god. He is so... Because it's so funny, because we got Anton Yelchin, right? Who's like Jai Courtney is a big giant muscle man, kind of. But like, that's not what Kyle Reese is.
Right.
Kyle Reese is a scrappy guy. He's like a warrior. He's not like a professional wrestler. And I think when you take the scrappiness out, you just have this like guy, standard issue guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Terminator the whole time.
Like generic action figure. Here we have standard issue guy.
Honestly, I think if you took off his shirt and you looked at his back, which I guess we must have. I gotta watch this again. I bet there'd be a little tab you can pull to make him do a karate chop. Because he's pretty much just the standard guy. And he had him and Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor. It's so funny how much the entire history of all of these movies rests on their sexual chemistry that is so non-existent. Like, all of the future is just these two are going to have a son, and I have no idea how. This is going to have to be one big mistake, because these actors have no charisma together, and the movie doesn't give them any time or any like interesting experiences that you'd be like, oh, I guess they kind of like each other. They're really just there. They're both so there.
I feel like Sarah Connor has to go through this thing where, so one of the things is that Pa, or what does she call it? Not Pa.
Pops.
It's Pop. It is Pops. I don't know why I said Pa. Pa.
Do you know what I referred to it as, like, from the Wayans show, Rest in Peace. Do you know who I'm talking about there?
I don't.
Have you ever seen the Wayans Brothers show? I think it was called the Wayans Brothers.
Yeah, I've seen it. I just can't like recall anything.
So it was like a show in the 90s, 2000s something, and it was just these guys, like the two Wayans brothers, and there's a
we're brothers.
Yes,
we're
that's the show.
We're singing and we're give me a high five. Yeah, I know that.
It was super funny, and their dad I think he was their dad. I don't know. There's a character called Pops. I haven't seen this in years. He may just be a guy they know who they called Pops. He was also in Black Jesus, a very funny show. I want to say a character called Pops, but not the same Pops. Hey, was he in Black Jesus? I thought he was. I thought I saw this in his I googled Marlon Wayans. Yeah, that's not going to do it. But anyway, he died recently and he was the best. So very sad. But whenever she said Pops, I was like, Pops? Like John Witherspoon Pops? But no, he's called Lloyd in that show. He was in Friday too. I guess that's kind of also what he's known for.
Okay.
Yeah, so, he's in that the Wayans Brothers show.
Gotcha.
Anyway, sorry.
So continue. So Pops keeps going to Sarah Connor like, "Did you mate with him yet?"
Oh my god!
Because they know he has to fuck Kyle Reese, and part of me is like, there's that intro scene when he's like knocked out, and she's looking at him. It's like, "So you're the one I've been waiting for, my love." And I'm part of like, has she just hit this point where she's like, "Yeah, got to bone Kyle Reese. That's my job."
Why wouldn't you? Like, they know. She knows the rules. Like,
yeah.
She seems to be willing to do everything else to save the world, right?
Yeah.
But this. And it's like, I get that you might not want to, but it's not you have to get married to him or anything. And he's not an unwilling participant or something. Like, right. I mean, he is because you won't tell him, but I'm sure if you told him, he'd be like, okay, I live to serve the resistance. This is within my, group of things I'm supposed to do. But no, it's so weird. The secrets these characters keep from each other in this movie is mind-numbing. Because earlier in the movie,
God.
John Connor takes Kyle Reese to... They go on like a raid, and this is like the beginning of the movie takes place in 2024 or something. And they go on a raid to fight the Terminators and stop the machine's ultimate weapon. And he doesn't say what it is, but he keeps calling it the ultimate weapon or something like that.
It's a
and then
big
you get there
gun.
And it's a time machine, right? Yeah. And it's like, just tell him it's a time machine. Whatever. He doesn't care. He's not gonna not kill it. He's not like, and he's not gonna not go back in time. What are you keeping the secret from? Besides us, but we already saw the trailer, so we know the whole movie.
I mean, honestly,
you guys told us the whole movie. Did nobody tell John Connor?
Even the most actiony action parts are like in the fucking trailer. The bus flip in the trailer.
The bit with the helicopter, mostly in the trailer. The bit when they shoot John Connor for the first time in the trailer. Yeah, I mean, that's the grand tradition of Terminator movies. You gotta spoil the movie in the trailer. They did it with the new one, too. Where, well, we'll talk about that next week. What makes more sense here? Do you want to start with... Do you want to start where the movie starts? Like,
oh my god, yes? Question.
I feel like the hard part of the movie, because I think there's a thread going throughout the movie that makes it very complicated, which is what the Terminators are after. That really messes with me. And I'm wondering, so like, I don't think that's necessarily where the movie like falls apart, but because the movie falls apart in like 8 or 9 different places, but I think you kind of need to understand that to understand how ridiculous the rest of the movie is.
Yeah, because the movie, like, starts by giving us our little homework assignment, or not homework assignment, but little, like, book report recap of, here's what the world looks like, so if you haven't seen any of these, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I guess the premise is, like, easy. Well, they only explain, like, the Skynet stuff. They don't explain the Sarah Connor stuff, so, yeah.
Yeah, they expect you to know Sarah Connor. They also expect you to have seen 2 and 1 because the first half hour, besides, like, well, so there's the very beginning where you go through Future War and John Connor and Kyle Reese and friends are, like, fighting the machines and they have a big victory. John Connor gives a big speech. John Connor in this movie, so this is, like, 6th John Connor, or 5th, is played by Matthew something. Matt Reeves, right? Is that his name? No, that's the director of the Batman. He's what's Daenerys' real name?
Amelia Clarke.
Yes, Matthew Clark. So I don't think they're related or anything, but I did notice that in the thing. He's from like Planet of the Apes and stuff. He gives a very unconvincing speech about how this is a war. We've been fighting the war. We finally have the weapon to kill Terminators. And then he sends Kyle Reese back in time. He tells Kyle Reese, "Go back in time. Go find my mother. Save her." That's it.
It's very important.
Give Kyle Reese any other helpful information. Just kind of like, you'll figure this out. Then the movie starts. I'd say all that is like kind of prologue for the rest of the movie, which is where it's very poor. So then Kyle Reese goes to 1982 or 4 or whatever, and he is in the beginning of Terminator 1, where it's like he's in a department store trying to get clothes, and like the Terminators are after him. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's where we're left off, or that's like where we start.
So that's why I think understanding Terminator 2 is so important in this movie. All of the references and stuff come from Terminators 1 and 2. And you'd really be like, well, what's this? Why does this matter? And why did we spend 5 minutes in this time before we like slammed into 2017? And it's like, well, it's because that's when one of the movies was, and they kind of just want to do that again. Like that would be fun for them.
But it's like, especially because it's so, like, the weirdest part is that they deal with the problem of Terminator 1 or 2 or whatever so quickly. Like, they kill the Schwarzenegger Terminator in like 2 seconds.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I know we already talked about.
The dumbest thing.
We talked about with the sniper rifle. It's like, just do that for the whole movie. They're vulnerable. Yeah. And maybe like only he's vulnerable with the sniper. I don't know.
I mean, the T-800 is more vulnerable. It's the most vulnerable. Although... it seems like what they will eventually use to kill whatever John Connor's one is would have worked on the T-1000 as well. Magnets have always been a weakness of the Terminators, but they've never tried to make like boxing gloves out of them because that's a stupid idea, but I guess they thought about it this time. when they meet so the T-1000 shows up, it is a police officer for no good reason. Just because Robert Patrick was that in Terminator 2.
Because you could trust them. You could trust them.
Oh, yeah. 1984 was a different time. You just run around naked and expect the police to, like, take you in and give you, hot soup and be nice to you. But and this is really where this, like... So, Sarah Connor will tell us a little bit later in the movie, during the weird scene where she's naked in a very CGI shadow, that a Terminator came to get her. A liquid metal Terminator tried to get her when she was 9.
Yep.
And the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator showed up to save her, and it's been guarding her ever since.
Correct.
I believe at one point, John Connor asks where that Terminator came from, and the Terminator says, whatever, it's fine. It doesn't tell him, right?
Yeah, no, we never
learn.
learn.
Non-answer.
We never learn, which is like batshit crazy.
It's so crazy.
Why can't you tell us? What are you hiding?
There's 10 people in this world. There's John Connor, Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, Terminator, the liquid metal one, and whatever the 6th one is, like whatever the new one is. So it's probably John Connor that sent it, or Sarah Connor, or Kyle Reese. It's one of them, because nobody else does anything. I don't understand.
There's no other persons. That's true. We haven't talked about this, but for a movie that has 6 installments for the 6 ones coming out, there's like 5 characters.
Yeah.
How is that? How is that so possible?
Because they keep bringing them back and resetting them. So, like, you would figure this is the 5th movie with a Kyle Reese, right? And this is no. It's so hard to...
It's the first...
2 has one, 4 has one, and now 5 has one. Okay, so the 3rd movie with a Kyle Reese.
Does 1 not have one?
Oh, sorry. I meant 1 has one, 4 has one.
Does 2 not have one? Sorry.
I don't think 2 has one, yeah. Okay. I think he's dead by the time 2 starts. And then I also, that reason, don't think he's in 3.
It's 1, 4, and 5. Yep, okay.
You know what? Yeah. I like I said, don't think he's in Sarah Connor Chronicles. So then... The problem with these movies, and the reason Kyle Reese being the protagonist of them is insane, is every movie, they have to reboot him. He cannot develop between movies. He always has to be this, like, blank slate where John Connor is like, Kyle Reese, you have to go back to the future, protect my mom. And, like, he just does the movies again. He goes through the same emotions, he learns the same things, and he has the same reaction to all of it. So, like... You could figure maybe, and this is why I think 4 almost got it. And if it just was super generic, and I think 4 kind of proves maybe you can't do these anymore. But at least 4 got an actor for, like, John Connor that was like, he was an Oscar caliber actor. He was already Batman, but he was also in, like, The Machinist, and, like, Christian Bale was, like, a big name. So you could almost say, if they made a Terminator movie with, like, Daniel Day-Lewis, you go, maybe this will work. Like, maybe there will be something here. But the fact that they went from, and I cannot remember the name of the actor that plays him in the first, Kyle Reese, the first one, but he's good, to Anton Yelchin, very good actor, to Jai Courtney, like, they have made, we're watching the same performance with worse actors over time. Like, how is that not going to be sucky? It's going to suck. It's the same with Sarah Connor. Like, Linda Hamilton, perfect. She is Sarah Connor. Forget what, I think she might be dead in 3, or she's killed in 3. I don't think it's Linda Hamilton, but it doesn't matter. Lena Headey, okay, not great, but not great. Pretty good, but not Linda Hamilton. And then Amelia Clarke, bad in this at least. And and then we go back to Linda Hamilton, but like, they can't get a better actor. I think the only time where they've ever actually traded up is with John Connor, when you went from whoever the 3rd one was, that actor who I've already named or forgotten, to Christian Bale. Then you immediately traded down to Jason Clarke, who's not bad, but he's not Christian Bale. And then in this new one, probably isn't a John Connor, but like the actors only got... And that's why I think Arnold works so well. He was good, we kept doing it, he's doing mostly the same thing, he's still good at that. Like, quality is consistent throughout.
Yeah. God,
it's okay.
These movies. It's depressing. See, the thing is, and it's depressing, but it's not so depressing because it's not like I'm attached to this nostalgic, oh God, I love Terminator so much and they ruined it. Like, the first one's great, and that's about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. And I think, well, first 2 are great. And I think you can, but it's not like Game of Thrones where they are ruined by the bad ones later in the franchise, where it's like, I can't even enjoy season 1 or 2 of Game of Thrones because I know where this is going. You can really watch 1 and 2 and go like, this is it. Don't watch the rest of them.
Yeah.
The story ties up perfectly. And like, besides the fact that it really is like a guy went to the roulette table and he put it all on 15 or whatever, and it landed on 15. He went crazy money, and then he put it back on 15, and then went back on 15 and crazy money, and then he put it on like red, and it went on black, and he was like, well, Terminator 3, it's not a disaster, but this was bound to happen eventually. And then he put it all on black again, and then it went on red again, and then he took his single remaining chip and ate it, and he didn't poop out more money, which is 5, and he doesn't have money. There is nothing for 6 to be. Like, that's where 6 Dark Fate really like doesn't work. And not like doesn't work, but just shouldn't. The pitch for it doesn't exist, except for this guy that's gambling at this roulette table accidentally pulled a $20 bill out of his jacket. I was like, oh, $20, which is Sarah Connor at this point, like Linda Hamilton. Oh yeah, okay, I guess I could try this again. But like, by now it should be clear that it got really lucky those first 2 times, and you're not going to be able to do that again.
So, which raises the question, why are they still making these movies? Is there more story to tell?
I don't know. This one's going to lose money for sure. There's no way this is going to be worth what it cost. Although, besides Arnold, I don't think there's anybody they had to pay more than $1 million to be in this. So, like, maybe if they really skimped on it, they could kind of be like, it cost $20 million, we made 25, it's a win.
I guess.
Ugh.
Yeah, these are terrible. These are shit movies, and they shouldn't be made.
No, not at all. Okay, so plot. And this is where it gets fun. Okay. So we go to 1984. Kyle Reese is saved by Sarah Connor, and she says that classic line, "Come with me if you want to live." And then, because it's from one of the old ones, and then Kyle Reese and her go fight the liquid metal Terminator, the one that's the cop, and they kill it. Yep. But really, what's his name kills it?
Schwarzenegger kills
it.
Right?
The Pops kills it. The other ones are just kind of there. But he's good. Like he's still a Terminator. And the funny thing about him, about Pops, is he seems to have all of the knowledge. He knows everything
somehow.
He knows how to build a time machine. He kind of knows who's coming from where.
He knows about Kyle.
Yet the best plan he can come up with is what they come up with. Like. It's weird. He's kind of like, he has no personality, obviously, because he's a robot, but he has no creativity, but he also just doesn't have, like, enough information to be like, hey, guys, we should go here. We should go to we should go 1999, kill this guy, we're good. Because...
cover our bases.
Yeah, they know who it is. They know, like, what is Skynet in 1984? It's nothing, right? It doesn't exist.
Oh, like, maybe the company does, but not as... or maybe it doesn't.
Cyberdyne is the company, and it is, I believe, it started in the mid-90s like the late 80s, early 90s by whatever the name of the guy is that they kill in 2. Or... okay, so yeah. I forget if they kill him in 2, but that one guy.
It's nothing in 84.
So, like, they're like, oh man, there's a new Skynet, and even Jai Courtney is like, it's Genisys. Oh yeah, because when Jai Courtney time travels, he gets a vision. Oh god, plot devices in this movie. The little kid, he gets a vision of himself as a child saying, "Genisys is Skynet. Get Genisys, please, me." Like, that's all. He has the power. He gives himself that message. Right? Yes, correct. He's like, you say this message in front of a mirror and it'll be what I learned. He doesn't give him any other stuff. Give this to Genisys. Also, bus to helicopter crash to the place. Bring magnets with you. Here's a bunch of things you need to make the magnet punchers. He just is like that. And it's not even he's like, Genisys is Skynet. Genisys is an app in the 2010s.
Just Genisys is Skynet. Maybe so that's stupid. All the information that, like, maybe because he realized that's what he saw. He's like, oh, I have to repeat that verbatim.
Right. And that's what he does for sure. Yeah. These characters have no imagination. They have a time machine and killer robots to protect them from other killer robots. And the best they can do is like, let's go to exactly the time when the first robot turns on and blow it up. It's crazy that that's the best. They don't try to build better robots in the time between then and now. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the middle time between 1980s and 2017 is like a construction worker or something.
Right?
It's like blending in.
How'd that work?
Does he have to pay rent? Again, we can just bury him in the middle of nowhere. Throw him in the bottom of the ocean. He's fine, yeah. Like they walk in because so Pops saves them. Pops saves Sarah and Kyle after they are, and this is on the wheel, which I don't think we're touching the wheel because we're going through these kind of one by one. After they are both killed in a car accident. Kyle Reese.
Can we?
Yeah. Do you want to explain the? You can explain the car thing.
Okay, so they time travel to the future, right? And the way time travel works is like a big blue energy orb materializes, and then you're
with
there.
Like lightning and stuff, and it makes a big crater and whatever it was. Yeah.
And you're naked because those are the rules of time travel.
Yeah.
So they time travel and they wind up in like the middle of the road. And
oh my god.
A car is swerving, like bolting towards them. So Kyle's like, "Oh, I gotta save Sarah Connor." Like crouches over her and like holds her, and this car just nails Kyle Reese, like fucking destroys him.
He cracks the windshield, like with his body. Which is why I have a theory that he's a Terminator in this movie. He has no emotions. Whoa. He breaks windshields with his body. He's a Terminator.
That's pretty good.
And you said road, which is close. They're in a freeway. Like, cars are going at like 60 miles an hour. So much stuff happens on this major highway that the government thinks they're terrorists with a bomb. Like, it is a giant event. And yeah, he is hit. People should, if you can find it, go find this scene. He is hit. And he tumbles over the roof, not over the roof of the car, over the hood of the car, hits the windshield, car stops, he is thrown, and he's like holding her, but like not that well that he can just keep her from being hit by the ground, and they just land and get up, and she gets 2 stitches, or staples, I guess, and he gets none. It's such a weird scene. And really it's for no reason. I don't know why they did that, because the movie is like, Terminator Pops has to go get them, right? Because he can't go with them through time because
he has to take the long way, which we discussed earlier. Just all of you do that, or teleport
the
to
better way
minutes before.
Yeah,
gamble on sporting events, break all the rules, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, become dictators of the earth. You can do it, and like you're the saviors of humanity. So like maybe this is what John wanted. Like maybe he didn't know exactly what, but he wanted you to find the sports almanac and become like Biff Tannen in Back to the Future 2. But no, he just gets, he's like, I can't imagine real, because John Connor will show up, but he's like a weird robo version of himself. I can't imagine real John Connor getting like a progress report from them. What'd you do? Well, you learned Skynet was a machine that would be, or like an app or some bullshit that would be turned on in 2017. So when did you go to? Hours before it was turned on. Wait, why? How did you even know you could get to it? Like, you can't teleport. What if it's not in the city you're in? Then you're fucked. It takes you 24 hours to cross the United States. Like, you're just gonna, what are you gonna grab a plane ticket? You're butt naked. If this thing starts in New Jersey, the whole world is dead. There's nothing. It doesn't make any sense. Hopefully someone will loan you a helicopter to crash. Maybe then you can get to wherever this actually is.
There is some sick helicopter maneuvers in this movie. Like crazy ones.
This would make the Suicide Squad embarrassed for how many times they've crashed helicopters. It's like, man, if you guys saw how Kyle Reese and friends were flying helicopters, John Connor is flying a helicopter with one hand and shooting through the front window of the helicopter with the other hand. He doesn't have an extra robot hand doing helicopter stuff, so he has 2 hands on the helicopter, like, control. And, like, so we can flick buttons. It really is like a video game where, like, up is up, down is down, forward is forward, back is back. That's pretty much how helicopters work. It's, oh my god. There's the scene where they fall out of the like when they launch the helicopter the first time and just fall down the side of a building, right? Like pretty much they go 90 stories or whatever vertically, but not like vertically, like they go down, but the helicopter is tilted on its side pretty much so that Arnold can fire up. And with like a foot to spare, they managed to cut it off just so they missed the ground and like vroom right past everybody. Oh my god.
They did it with a giant helicopter with what you would need to do with like a little remote controlled airplane, to do those maneuvers.
If a paper airplane did it, I'd be like, I don't know. That seems a little much.
I swear to God, in my mind's eye, I fucking saw the plane just crash to the ground.
Yeah.
The speed it was going at. Like how your brain kind of knows what'll happen next as you're seeing something happen. I'm like, oh, the helicopter, I wonder how they're going to get out of this one. Crazy twist.
It is so close to hitting the ground when Arnold is firing at the guy in slow motion. The problem with that scene is because they do slow motion, Arnold shooting John Connor in his helicopter. Good, there were 2 helicopters on the roof otherwise. But you see Arnold do it, and you get just enough time because it's in slow-mo to go like, oh, they're like 20 feet off the ground. And they haven't even started to turn yet. Like, they're not gonna. Unless this helicopter is like made of Nerf material and it's able to bounce off the ground, they're dead. They're all dead in a helicopter crash. But again, we just saw Kyle Reese bounce off a car, so he'll probably be fine. It's a Fast and Furious movie. It really is.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to ask you this question, DJ, and if you don't know, don't look it up. Do you know who directed this movie?
I don't.
Let's play a guessing game. I'll give you a hint.
I'll
give you one hint. You'll be able to guess it. All right. This director, and you don't have to tell me the name. Well, how about this? I'll just ask you a question. DJ, would you believe this was directed by the person who directed Thor: The Dark World and pretty much nothing else?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, they got Alan Taylor back, baby. Post Thor: The Dark World. Like, at a time in history where we all knew that was the one bad example of a Marvel movie. Like...
Yeah, right? Like, this is the bad one.
He had directed some Marvel, stuff. Or some Game of Thrones stuff. Which is why I think Emilia Clarke is here. And he had directed some other show. I can't remember which one. I'm trying to, look it up now. But Alan Taylor was the director of this movie. And it's so Thor: The Dark World. Characters jumping from place to place. No chemistry. It's insane.
What a nightmare.
A nightmare.
It's a shame this exists.
It is. And
it really
also,
is terrible.
Thank God it's not part of anything. Thank God you can just ignore it and just go there's only 2 Terminator movies, kids. Don't bother with any of the rest of them. They're all bad. And each Terminator movie resets the continuity because the last one was bad. So, after 2, they made 3. And then after 3, they kind of were 3 doesn't really matter. So you can just kind of start with 4. Go 1, 2, 4. Or you go 4, 1, 2. And then 4 was bad. And then they were 4 doesn't even count either because it's not the same actors. It's not really the same timeline. So you kind of go 1, 2, 5. And now 5 is bad. So now they're doing 1, 2, 6. So... eventually they'll get 1 right, and in order will be 1, 2, X, and then it'll be X plus 1, and then that'll be bad. And it's more confusing than the Fast movies, because at least the Fast movies acknowledge the bad ones. They undo the things that happened in them, but at least Letty is still dead from 4, even though no one likes 4. But this, it's because of time travel, they have such a blank slate. But I really think they need to start working within constraints. Because it just doesn't make any sense.
They have to find a way to remove time travel. I don't know how you do that. In Harry Potter, they just made all of them break. There's no more magic left for time travel. I don't know what you do here.
I guess, yeah. It's so weird. But okay. Let's talk about...
Where did we leave off? I don't remember. This movie's so bad. Are we at the end? Oh, helicopters. That's right.
Helicopters. So let's talk about the villain's plan. What did the Terminators want to do? Or the machines?
I don't know. Destroy humanity? Make Google? I don't know. Do they know?
No, they don't.
I can't remember if I said this within the context of this podcast or to you earlier, but I think I said it earlier. If in the beginning, on Judgment Day, they just launched missiles. I don't know why they don't just launch missiles. They definitely could. Genisys or whatever could just launch the missiles. They're ready.
The thing about it that I think is so funny is the Terminators have a whole they have a goal, and the goal is destroy humanity. It's not a great goal, but it's a goal. And it's also not a complicated goal. And in the first movie, I don't think we really got it what it was. We just knew the Terminators wanted to do it. And in 2, we learned about Judgment Day, which is some sort of nuclear holocaust started by the Terminators in like somewhere in the 1990s. It kept shifting date-wise. And the way they got to the Judgment Day was by taking over all the missiles using Skynet and like merging the world's missile systems. And then almost like Kyle Rayner in the early Green Lantern comics, they couldn't do the same thing twice, right? So like that's a rule of Green Lantern, was when they made him, they were like, he can't make the same construct a second time because he's supposed to be the artist and like the clever one. So he couldn't just make a boxing glove every time. So like they had to keep inventing new ways to get to to get to that thing. So I want to say in 3, they built self-defense robots or something to kind of inch closer to 4. So it wasn't just launching nukes. It was nukes plus like robot drones and stuff. 4, it's getting back to Terminators. And then in this one, we learn that the machine's plan is to get all of the nukes by merging the nukes with an app that is pretty much like Google Home or Google Drive or something. Some sort of iCloud-esque application. Which, like, can you imagine? Now, you know what? I can kind of imagine it. But can you imagine if, like, we decided to run the nukes off of iCloud?
Ooh, that would be a good one.
That's what we did.
That would end us all.
Yeah, we deserve it. But Skynet... So, DJ, can you explain how we are introduced to what Skynet has become in this movie, which is Genisys?
So they just tell Kyle Reese gets when he's doing his weird going through time not shtick, but like what happens. He just gets like a message like, oh, it's Skynet. Oh, but like John Connor's like, oh, Skynet. Oh, this is so fucking confusing. Yeah. In the future, Skynet made me part of Skynet and then sent me back in time to make Skynet for this company because that was the only way to do it. Oh, fuck this movie.
It's so funny when it turns out he's like wearing a sweater vest and going around Skynet going like, hey, build more time machines. Need a bunch of good old time machines. Hey, build the liquid metal Terminator over there. We need to have that too. Let's build all the things from this movie. Checkity, check, check, check. Put it on the poster so people know it's a Terminator movie. Yeah, it's so funny that they are building an operating... Can you imagine, and again, maybe this is actually happening, if Google was developing both Google Plus, an like non-functional time machine and a semi-functional liquid metal robot, and we gave a shit about the Google Plus. Like, what are you kidding me? This is insane. Elon Musk is like throwing cars into space and we can't stop giving Twitter likes. These guys are trying to build a time machine, and all they've got is like, we'll put a ring and we'll have that spin around, and hopefully if we have enough of those rings at the right spinnings, then we will send someone back in time. And also, I can't remember this. So these guys, Time Machine is not something John Connor is building on his own. It's part of the company. He didn't start the company, though, right? There's like, he has upper, like, supervisors.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Because I think there's the same character that usually has built, like, there's a black dude in the first one, or second one, I can't remember his name, who builds Skynet. From in Cyber9. I think we get him again here. But the idea that John Connor is building a time machine, and he somehow has convinced this company to let him try. And all he had to give him was Skynet, which is nothing. Like, it's nothing. No one knows what it is. The guy that pitches it just pitches it. It's like, it'll let me control my TV with my phone, with my microwave. Oh my god.
How cool is that, everybody?
Yeah, oh my god, I got it. It's so important I have to talk to it on my friend on an earpiece while I'm doing staples at the hospital.
That is like pretty messed up.
The biggest asshole in the world, yeah. So he's like, all right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come up with the most basic idea possible. Like, just the pitch to end all pitches that is just make all the technology good together. If you let me do that, and I'll let you make this thing that I'm sure you've been making for years, you have to let me try to build a time machine. And then other people at the company know about this. And then, I'm assuming on the news, because I'm pretty sure we see some sort of footage of this, time travelers clearly show up in exactly the way he must be trying to send them. None of the scientists care. Nobody's like, oh, there's some time travelers, guys. This must mean we should check on them. This is our thing. And maybe that means they know the robots, too. Also, can he beat a metal detector?
Ooh.
I don't think he can. Because if he could, you'd assume he'd also be able to beat an MRI machine.
Yeah, right.
You'd have to go through a metal detector to get into this secret super lab where they're building a time machine?
Oh, God. It's going to be so bad.
It's so bad. So the bad guy's plan is to make this app. Again, it's not clear exactly what it does, but this app is so important that multiple times in the movie we see billboards that just say countdown to Genisys and then a literal ticking clock that is like 25 hours to Genisys. And the funniest part of this, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's an app, right? It's an app that's going to connect this to your this to your this to your this. The guy on the phone who's doing the staples says to his friend, or maybe he says this when Kyle Reese is like, "Ooh, Genisys? I wasn't going to ask anybody about this because I'm a moron, but you, lucky me, you told me about it. What's that?" And he's like, "Genisys? You know what Genisys? It's the coolest thing, all the billboards." And he tells his friend on the phone, he's like, "Yeah, I'm downloading my copy. I pre-ordered it because I don't want to have to wait in line." What would you get? What would they hand you that you're going to install to your computer and your phone?
Like
a disc?
A disc?
Yeah.
Right.
Flash drive? Why would anyone download this? Or why wouldn't everyone download this? What, do you want the collector's edition to put in your house? 1 billion people have downloaded it. I'm going to be, as a comic book fan, no one's collecting this. The number one is valueless because everyone has it. So beyond that, what are you getting in line? It's not a phone. It's not an iPhone. It's just a program. It seems like it's in the cloud.
It's true.
What is it? What would you'd stand there and they would just you'd be in line for hours and hours because this guy is describing the line as if it's going to take forever, like an iPhone.
Like the iPhone,
And you'd be like, all right, I want to get some Genisys. And they get to the front of the line, they take your phone and install the Genisys app for you and then give you your phone back. You got it. Cool. Go do this with your TV. We're not bringing a TV in. So... yeah, you got Genisys now. Cool.
It would have been way more
files.
interesting, but the movie didn't want to go here. If the Genisys release was like a chip,
yeah.
I'm gonna get this little microchip, and everyone's just cool with it.
Like Kingsman, DJ. This is bad Kingsman because in Kingsman 1, it is revealed that what's his name? Something Valentine, Rubius Valentine. No, I can't remember. He has set up a plan to turn everybody violent via a frequency that he is going to release on everyone's phones because he has given everyone a SIM card for free, wireless, whatever. And they don't really go through too much trouble to explain why everyone would get this, besides just cell phones are expensive, this one's free. It's so bizarre how for the first half to 2/3 of the movie we don't know what Genisys is and it doesn't matter. And then when they explain it, they don't explain it. There's no reason anyone would want this.
I can connect my phone to my whatever.
2017, we had better than this. No one would give a shit. No, here's why no one would give a shit about Genisys. It would be like when Amazon tries to make a phone and it's well, none of my files are on that. I don't want that.
Yeah.
It would be oh, we got Genisys, some random investor. And you'd be like, who made this? Cyberdyne. What does Cyberdyne do? Nothing really. Mostly just this. I think they're trying to figure out time machines. Time
travel.
Okay.
Liquid soldiers.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to make I'm going to use the iPhone then because I already have an iPhone. That goes with all my iPhones. It's such a Hollywood bullshit. What is it? I guess it's an app because it's the future. That's what the future is apps. So there's a phrase that is used in this movie. The only other movie I've heard it used in is Suicide Squad. It was one of your cheeses on the wheel. You want it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, at some point someone actually says killer app, and I thought of Suicide Squad because of the heavy-handed nature Suicide Squad presented that in. Oh my god, that's a killer app!
That's a killer app.
God damn it.
It's not even a killer, it's nothing. I wish it was a killer app. Because all it is, I don't even, how would you even... What is it? Where do you install it? On your phone and your TV? What TV?
This bothers you so much.
It's just so stupid and so, because if it was a phone, I'd buy it. This is the new Genisys phone. It can do anything. It's got this and this and that. Because it is a very lazy kind of critique of society, right? Because there's one bit, I forget when, it might be in the doctor's office, when John Connor is explaining Genisys to people, or someone's explaining Genisys.
They've invited their own doom.
Yeah, everyone's on their phones and their screens, even though like the first person we see on a screen is someone doing medical work, like uploading charts, and you're like, yeah, I think that's the more efficient, John. And then one of the doctors is on their phone, and I'm like, all right, maybe get off your phone, you're at work. But everybody else is using screens in that scene. I'm like, that's pretty reasonable. But yeah, it's because it just isn't anything. It's not, if it was just phones, and it was just like this phone that's going to hypnotize you, and you live in the phone or something, then you'll go, I guess that's a critique on how much we use phones, or the internet, or selling data, or whatever, but it's none of that. It's kind of like a similar critique I had of Joker, where it's like about mental health, but it doesn't want to get specific enough to actually say anything interesting. It just wants to be about mental health. With this, it's like it wants to be about technology, but it doesn't want to pick a specific part of technology to critique or give any rules to what it is. Because Genisys is nothing but a ticking clock, to the point where at the end of the movie, they have a little time. Like, they got a cushion to work with, and then the bad guy's like, just kidding, the clock has just gotten worse. It's clock time, baby.
Evolving.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. If, like, Genisys... And, like, I feel like the movie was so fucking close, too. Like, if Genisys was going to be, like, this advanced AI that had the ability to do all the thing... I don't know. Something.
Like...
Something.
It was nothing. It was so nothing. And I think you could make a whole movie about it. But the problem is, and I was talking this before, the movie reboots itself 3 times during the movie. The first movie is the 4th movie. It's them in, timeline 1, I guess, at the end of days and Judgment Day when they're fighting the machines and they won and whatever. And then it reboots itself to the second movie, which is redoing the first movie. And then it reboots itself a third time, or so I guess a second time, but third version of this movie, which is this Genisys movie. But they don't do that until halfway through the movie. So there's no time to establish what Genisys is. There's no time to establish any of these new characters. I would say the only character I liked in this, besides Arnold, who's doing fine, was what's his name? J.K. Simmons. I think he was fun. He was a conspiracy theorist, and he had seemingly all of the information to convince anybody that this was going on, but no one believed him anyway, because he was kind of kooky.
And the interesting thing about his character was his is the character that time travel has consequences, because this movie never gets into the here's why you shouldn't fuck with time travel. It's like, yeah, do whatever you want, but he's like, you saved me and blah blah blah, and my whole life has been time travel thing, and for them they're just like, oh, that was just a Tuesday. Don't get so weird about it, man. I
have a question.
Yeah.
Why are the Terminators inventing time machines in this timeline?
Why are they?
Why? Why does John Connor, robot John Connor, carbon fiber John, care about that at all? If he wins, he wins.
Right.
Are they just... Is the conceit of this universe that you just have to keep dumping people back in time to protect the time you're already in, and it'll never be done? Because it seems like inventing the time machine, if you've already invented Genisys, is only going to invite another group to use it to stop you.
Right.
Because you can't react to the time changes on the fly. You know?
Yeah, it's all for people who are just, well, this almost they should just use the end game explanation for how time travel works.
Right.
That there's just hundreds of different Terminator timelines, and we're just trying to do our best with what we're given.
And I think that's kind of what it is. But then, yeah, you don't need Terminators either. I guess you need Terminators because you have to wipe out the remaining humans. But once you use that, you use the Terminators, and you launch all the nukes via the Genisys, you're done. You don't need a time machine. You're not going to use it for anything. I don't understand why it's part of the movie at all. Because it doesn't work either. So it's not like it's this thing that John Connor can use at any point to reset things. You can't use it.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's just kind of hopefully I get Genisys right. Otherwise, I guess I'll time travel. But if he makes Genisys properly, it will take over the nukes. If he can make a Genisys, it seems like he could also just hack all the nukes.
Well, that's what they should. They should just hack all the nukes.
I would be so confused if I were Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor and I got to 2017. It's like, oh my god, they've built an app? Why? Because the military gave their controls up, but could they just get them?
Originally, 20 years ago, because I think 1997 is when Judgment Day is. Originally, they just used nukes to take us all out. This is 20 years later. This is where we are. Man, they have no imagination.
What's the app gonna do? Eventually, maybe it'll get the nukes. I'm sorry. Are apps that good? Does everybody want... It's I
Here's an
can't
idea.
imagine.
Here's an idea movie. So John Connor becomes effectively part of Skynet. Why is there not a monologue where someone shouts, "Why are you even doing this? What's the point of wiping out humanity?" And then John Connor goes, "You don't understand. We've evolved. There's a new goal. We've realized that wiping out humanity won't work because it's impossible to get to all of them. What's more realistic is for us to have humanity become us. We should not remove the problem of humanity. We should make humanity perfect." And then Skynet's new goal is to turn humanity into Terminators, or like whatever the metal thing, part of Skynet, like assimilate them. And Genisys, like, will, if it was a chip, it would be like, everyone who signs up, they will become assimilated.
A chip or any device whatsoever, some physical thing. They could be like, you have the phone, and then we'll upgrade the phone, and then we'll make the phone part of your body and stuff. Like, as a kind of with older versions of these movies where it's like, we're not, the movie, like Terminator 2 didn't have to end with the nukes going off. You had to be at a stage where you could kind of see the nukes going off in the future. So the end game was clear, and you were stopping it before that. Because it seems like if they stop Genisys today, Genisys stops, like in the timeline of the movie. But if they didn't stop it that day, nukes launch, everyone dies. So I think you could get away with that, where it's like, we're going to assimilate everyone into the board. Because John Connor says something to that effect earlier in the movie in the parking lot, but it's not like this is the goal. It's just kind of like, this is what I did, and I'd love it if I could save you two. But besides that, fuck everybody.
But that should be the new goal, because it's more interesting and, makes sense.
It's a critique on our reliance on technology and blah, blah, blah. Like what this movie seemed to kind of be going for, but instead it felt very much like... It's just like whenever something's an app, it feels so like, hello, fellow kids. I'm also a kid, just like you.
God, yeah.
Dab. Like, it sucks.
I'm flossing.
We have worse technology now. Facebook, all that shit, Twitter. Like, it's worse. It's worse than Skynet.
Deepfakes. Like, oh, God.
Also, okay, here's another small one, because I know we're getting along here, but this is one of the worst movies.
Nando really could talk about this movie for 7 hours. Like,
so at one point, they're not sure that Terminator is Terminator. Their friend Pops is Pops. And they're like, "Hey, wait, are you a Terminator or are you Pops?" And he goes, "My current model does not let me transform." Yeah, it's what a transforming one would say too. They don't have to tell the truth like this is fucking Labyrinth. They can lie. What is, like, and John Connor's just like, that is what he would say. I know! If he was lying, he'd say the thing he was gonna say too. What the fuck is, like, it's just so stupid. And also, like, maybe he should be a liquid metal Terminator by now. It's kind of weird that we give regular Pops 20 years of nothing. Like, all he has is a room full of guns. It's like, yeah, I think you could go to a lot of places in the United States right now and find people that have done that on their own. You're a Terminator, and the best you got is a bunch of guns that we already know cannot kill a Terminator. Like, the magnet punching bag, or punching, like boxing gloves, brass knuckles, is the only viable weapon in this movie from when they fight John Connor in the hospital. And they still go to this, like, cache of weapons and are like, sweet, a gun that can't kill him. Who are they going to kill with that? His subordinates? The other Cyberdyne employees? They don't even all have that big old sniper rifle. They're like, good, at least if an 800 comes, we could kill them. No, nothing.
Oh, man.
If they covered the T, how did they kill him in the movie?
Which one?
The new one. How do they kill what's his name? John Connor Terminator. I can't remember.
They start the time machine,
right?
But it's not to travel through time. It's to kill him because something organic matter. And
yeah.
It's so dumb. Pops goes to sacrifice himself, and what you're like, yes, this will be the swan song for Schwarzenegger.
You fool, DJ. You thought these movies could survive without him. Not in a million years. Where did your failure lead you, Avengers? Back to me, says Arnold Schwarzenegger, taking a big giant check for Terminator 6. He's going to be in these till he dies.
How appropriate. And then there's a big explosion. Oh, yeah, they're hiding in a bunker because they had a bunker ready because whatever. Fuck this movie. And then the door's like being busted down. They're like, oh, no. And it's Pops. And he's like, I got out and the other guy didn't. Fucking A. How about that?
And his head gets thrown into the vat of liquid metal Terminator, like, parts, right? That's how it's kind of explained. Is he is now a liquid metal pops or whatever. So.
Oh, right. Yeah. And
like,
yeah, right. He's liquid metal now, and the other guy just exploded.
Yeah, but like, great, I don't care. Movie's over. Maybe do that before the end of the movie. Have him fight the other guy, liquid metal Terminator. We never saw that. Instead, we see him fight Graphite Terminator as regular him with the boxing gloves. But like, I don't know, that's kind of cool. See what Arnold could do with super liquid metal powers. But it's not what they do. It's so weird.
This movie sucks.
It sucks so much. And I mean, like, yeah, the performances are also all pretty much bad. The romantic chemistry that is the entire premise for this universe working obviously doesn't exist. It doesn't exist so much so that there's a scene where Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor go back in time together, and because this time machine is like a single use, which is so funny because they all have to go naked, right? And it's like, okay, me and you will go, and they like end up hugging and having like an awkwardly sexual moment. But up until that point, up until like 10 minutes ago, the plan was also to send Arnold. So who would naked Arnold be hugging at that moment? Would it be Sarah or would it be John? Because Sarah's like his daughter figure, but I don't think John wants that Arnold, that naked Arnold Schwarzenegger pops body on him. So
yeah,
I don't know. John will take one for the team, I guess. But anyway, so they they get naked, they go through the time machine, they land, he gets hit by the car, it's ridiculous. And then they go to the hospital and they have a fake argument to like get one of them to push the others so John can pick up a thing and use it to unlock his the handcuffs and whatever. Part of the argument, and this might actually happen right after the argument, is I'm pretty sure he one of them, I think it's him, is like, by the way, that time we were naked together meant nothing to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. That was 10 minutes ago, and did you think it did? Like, that seems like he read way too far into all that, and I'd be like, oh boy, this guy, he's kind of a creep.
But didn't she say something earlier, like something meant nothing to me?
I think so, but it wasn't.
She started some kind of like, hey, this thing that happened between us meant nothing.
But that's like the naked thing is funny because I guess it more seems like it's like he forgot that was a necessary like part of the time travel, as much as just like it's because it's not like a romantic moment where like he saved her or something and they had like a wonderful look between them or something. It's like a thing that they had to do. Like, can you imagine if like you, like, I don't know, if like you were in, I'm trying to think of a profession where this makes sense. I don't know. Like if you were in that's a good one. If you're like backstage changing and you see a coworker, like another actor change, and then later you get in an argument and you say to that person, by the way, the time I saw you naked didn't mean anything to me. You would be like, whoa, creep. That wasn't, we weren't even talking about that. I didn't know. It seems like until just now you thought it did. So that's really weird. Yeah. It's so weird. It's so weird that they change in front of each other on opposite sides of a like, what is that? Like a wall of lockers? And then put clothes on and then walk to the time machine and then take those clothes off again. And then like, what is that? What's that for them? Just get with it, guys. Be comfortable in your own bodies. It's the time travel. You can't afford to be modest anymore. Yeah. So stupid.
So stupid.
So Terminator 6, we know that it is Dark Fate. We know that the premise doesn't involve any of these characters, or at least any of these actors again. Sarah Connor will be back, played by Linda Hamilton. And Arnold will be back in some capacity, although I don't know exactly what he's doing. Did you like Arnold in this?
He's all right.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good.
I didn't love him, to be honest, but like ready? Here's my favorite part. Like,
yeah.
I think it's like you said, like he's clearly having fun, like just doing this character.
And he can do it. Like he can just, he doesn't have to relearn how to be this character, whereas I think, and you know what, he was the first version of this. So I think like Jai Courtney and what's her name, Emilia Clarke, and even Matthew Clark to some extent, were trying to be the actor that was their guy before. Channeling that performance where Arnold didn't have to do that, and also he didn't have to hide an accent. Because really, like, I don't think you could watch this movie not knowing anything about Emilia Clarke and go like, oh yeah, she's from America. That's definitely how she speaks in North. It's so clear she's like, not even hiding an accent, just like making up a new one. And it's quite awkward.
It's tough. I mean,
I don't necessarily blame her, although I do think like she shouldn't have Like, some people can do it.
My take is that this movie does not fail because of the acting performances. However, they do not help.
Well, like, imagine if this movie was, instead of Jai Courtney and Emilia Clarke, a young, like Jeff Goldblum and like a young Sigourney Weaver. Just like actors with charisma and like personality. I think you get that no matter what characters they're playing. The movie's going to be fun to watch. And I just think this movie was missing that because neither Emilia Clarke nor Jai Courtney had that.
Right.
And I don't think so far a Terminator movie has lived or died on that, because the first two were just good on their own, and all of the rest of them were both not good and didn't have incredibly compelling actors. Like, Christian Bale's a good actor, but he's not like a fun, cool guy personality action guy that I think you could put in a movie. Or he's not, I don't know. Christian Bale also kind of feels like a very serious kind of blank slate. I don't imagine his character making jokes. But like if you had someone like, even like Bruce Willis, early Bruce Willis when he was trying, I think you get a different movie than this one. Just like Jai Courtney, why? Why him? He doesn't look anything like Kyle Reese. He doesn't sound anything like him. And he's the opposite. He's a big giant muscle man instead of like a cool scrappy dude.
I know. It's just because he's a guy. Like, that's definitely what it is.
But did they think he was going to be the next big thing?
I could not project to even guess what
like,
they were thinking with that one.
Imagine this movie where instead of Jai Courtney, it's Jason Momoa. Immediately better movie.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of like, Aquaman isn't anything special, but he's fun to watch. And it'd be kind of fun to watch him hold his own against Terminator, or like Ryan Gosling, you know? So many, like, you could put so many kinds of different actors in that role and
Chris
just get
Evans.
something that's more interesting. Yeah, any of the Marvel guys could do it. Like, yeah. Just like that central chemistry of the movie wasn't there, and it sucks.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, so 6. I'm not psyched for 6.
Oh god, no! I can't believe we're doing it next week, and part of me wants to be like, can we get out of it? But whatever.
I think it is fair to say. I don't think it could be worse than this. I think it's fair to say this might be one of the worst movies we've ever done.
I agree. And somehow, when the bad movies are always like the longest ones. Like,
oh my god, it was so long. That's why I fell asleep.
I meant our episodes, but also.
Oh, that too. It's a really long movie though. Like, it feels like there's so many things that could be the final set piece, like the fight on the bridge. You're like, maybe this is it. But it's like, well, we're not at Skynet yet, so it can't be this. And then it's a helicopter chase. I'm like, maybe this is it. And it's not that either. Like, it ends forever. Like, I'm looking at the movies we've seen this year. Nothing even comes. Like, Dark Phoenix isn't as bad as this. I don't think.
No. No.
Like, there's Suicide
You said
Squad,
the Meg, but like the thing with movies like the Meg and Dark Phoenix, at least the premise is simple enough where it's like, bad things stop. Like this one, they're flying over the place. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's some sort of, not even emotional core, but just core of the movie, like logical core that you can kind of grasp onto, that you can kind of be like, I understand why I'm supposed to enjoy this. It's fun to see Magneto, or it's fun to see Jason Statham, kind of. But like with this, it's like, yeah, it really is the only one I could compare it to that we've done on the show is Crimes of Grindelwald. And just its exposition, its action scenes that don't matter, and characters that don't matter.
Agreed.
Like, even Venom was more fun than this, like, by a mile.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tom Hardy as Kyle Reese might be real good.
Yeah. You know what movie might be there? And it's like, some of them are pretty forgettable. Like The Predator, right up there with this.
Yeah.
In terms of just a big old dud. But, yeah, I mean, like, most of the rest of the movies we've seen since we've started doing this are somewhere between okay and great. Or, like, the forgettable ones, like Tomb Raider or Skyscraper or whatever. But very few are, like, movies I would say, if it's on TV, don't watch it. It's bad. Mm-hmm. And this, like, it's great because it doesn't irreparably harm the franchise in the same way that Crimes of Grindelwald does. But that makes it even more disposable, where you can even be like to a Terminator fan who's like, I want to see them all. You'd be like, no, don't. Not only will this never come up in the future, it will hurt the last one. So you like 1 and 2 will be dumbed down by this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas at least with Grindelwald, it's like, I guess you got it because you got to see 3 and maybe 3 will be good. You know, the 6th one will not mention this at all.
Are we done?
All right. I think we are. I think it's time for a classic segment. Got anything to recommend to the fine people?
I feel like a bad person. I don't want to cop out the Extra Life thing as a rec, especially if you're listening to this after it happened. Although you can donate past the stream.
Play or something.
You could donate up until the end of the year, believe it or not.
How about you recommend that game that we're going to play that might be part of the thing? That might be a reward. You were talking to me about this earlier. Comes in a yellow box, has Fancy Men on it.
Utter Nonsense.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a solid game. So if you're not familiar with this game, the basic idea of it is that you or whoever's playing, you have these different like phrases to say, and they're like pretty mundane phrases. It's like, today I'm gonna go get onions at the supermarket. But the little twisty part of the game is that you have to pull an accent card. So you get an accent card and a phrase, and then you got to say the phrase in the accent, and then someone votes on what they think is the funniest. And we might do things during the stream where we'll like pull an accent card and sing like happy birthday if we're given enough money or something to that effect. I do want to mention I did watch the Dolomite movie.
Oh, what'd you think?
I loved it. It was so
Such
good.
a blast. Yeah.
I just didn't want to do like the only rec be something you wrecked last week, but I was going through Netflix. I'm like, let me watch this movie, and it's phenomenal. Seriously,
Yeah.
if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's a blast.
And it's so much
such a
fun
good
to
time.
learn about, like as a story of this guy. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, that he exists, like or like
yeah,
existed,
and
like,
this all more or less happened. Like,
so it was very cool.
yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, those are two of my recs, and that's kind of all I got. Sorry.
Cool. I'm gonna recommend a movie that I saw on Monday at a screening, so you can't see it right now, but I'm sure people will. I'm sure a certain set of people will not, but I think it's pretty solid. Me and Emily watched Knives Out. It's great. It's a blast and a half. You know which one I'm talking about, DJ?
Oh, it sounds so familiar.
It's the Ryan Johnson whodunit with like all the famous people.
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel Craig's. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Daniel Craig's a lot of fun. There's like it's like a bunch of characters. I don't want to talk too much about it, but like the main cast: Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, Michael Shannon, Chris Evans, and a couple of other people that aren't like super famous, and probably a bunch of other famous ones I've forgotten. But it's just a pretty straightforward whodunit. It was very funny, and it's very like very well shot, and I really enjoyed it. I think it will get a lot of good attention for people. Like I think most people will be like, awesome, this was a good movie, except for people that hate The Last Jedi so much that they hate Ryan Johnson, which like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of The Last Jedi, but I don't hate Ryan Johnson because of it. But besides that subsection of people that will go in wanting to hate this movie, I don't think you really can. I don't think there's that much to say about it besides just, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, no, I think it comes out like early, like mid-November maybe? I don't know, sometime soon. I want to go check out the other movies, because I know Lighthouse is showing up in places, haven't seen that, and then Parasite is showing up places, and I haven't seen that, so I gotta go check those guys out.
Nice.
Because yeah, I Lighthouse I can probably not like skip, but it's like it'll probably be good, but maybe not necessarily my thing. But like Parasite, I know so little about it, but I love that director, and I think that's gonna be probably a blast. Yeah. So next week, Terminator Dark Fate. Dun.
No. So you can't make me, but
we're
you
doing
can,
it, DJ. It's gonna be great.
I know. That's fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Do you think what like I guess so we got the stream on Saturday, so people can watch that and stuff. Is there anything people could like recommend to us about the stream, like games to play or stuff? People
just
like and engage with us beforehand.
Oh, before tweet at us, yeah, that's
right.
Like
just
the
like
best
tweet
way.
us thoughts you have. I get, yeah, that's the way to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like tag me, DJ at Nitpicking Pod. You know, any of those addresses, we all get them. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next week, Dark Fate. But definitely go watch the Extra Life stream. All the information is everywhere. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right.
Until then, I am at Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Woo!